Hey guys, so this is the Cube i7 Stylus tablet. It's pretty good, pretty good. It's got the Core M inside it, 2 gig CPU, so it does give a bit of a kick. Sorry, I'm just being assaulted by a fly or a wasp. It is the height of summer here, so it's probably like 8 degrees. So yeah, I'll throw the specs up for you. It's a pretty beastie tablet. I've been playing a couple of games on it, nothing too taxing. See, it's fully activated. A lot of people were complaining on Banggood saying that there was viruses on there and that it wasn't fully activated, and that was back when it was Windows 8.1, whereas this fully activated, updates, no viruses. I've double checked on that, so that's perfect. It's got 4 gig of RAM, 64 gig SSD, which you can replace as well. You can take the back off this thing, pop a new SSD in there. It's not the full SSDs, but the laptop ones and tablet ones. You've Google that. I've got a 128 gig Shark card in there. It's recognised it fully. I can use that. So, and a 64 gig SSD, which I only have about 25 gig free after all the Windows updates and stuff like that. So I mainly use 128 gig SD card, micro SD, but you can upgrade the SSD on this tablet. I've checked into that. It's got a nice screen, 10.6 screen. It's quite big. It's quite heavy as well compared to the MEPG 2 that I had. And it's not as crisp, but that's just because of the resolution and the PPI as well, the density. It does get quite heavy sometimes, and it's quite cumbersome because it's not a 4.3 display like the MEPG 2. It's a 16:9, and it's a bit heavier as well, so bear that in mind. I've had to put it down on my lap sometimes to hold it, because holding it up for so long you just get arm ache. So I know the screen is a Surface Pro 2 screen in there, so for the value for money kind of thing, it's really good, because it's basically a Surface Pro 2 for around 220 quid. I'm not sure what that is in dollars, because I'm from the Queen's land, so figure that out yourself. What you'll need to do as well is in Intel settings. So if you go into graphic properties and Intel, and then in the HD graphics control panel, there's some settings for adaptive brightness and some power options that you should change, because if you turn off the power options, the adaptive display options, you'll actually get a boost in brightness. And it's this weird thing that I first found, that when you turn it on and you're playing around, you're in Chrome and stuff like that, the backlight will go on and off slightly, just enough to annoy you basically. But you can turn it off in Intel, and then if you go to the battery as well and go to power options and then change power plan, there's other ways to do it, advanced. And then in here there's an adaptive brightness as well that you should change. Yeah, and then you won't get that annoying flickering. So the cameras, I can't be bothered really talking about the cameras because they're naff, absolutely pants. But the front one's 2 megapixel, the back one's 5. I've never really used them. I've got my smartphone and got my camera. Why would you take a photo on a tablet? You just look like one of those dicks. The Wi-Fi is 2.4 gig range on that, so you won't get the 5 gig unfortunately. So there's a bit of compromise there. I'm not sure why the Chinese tablets don't do dual band. The MEPG 2 does, which was great. Never had any drop in quality there, but likewise with this, not had any drop. The download rates are great, so it's just one of those little niggles. So you've got the ports which all throw up on the screen. I've got a micro SD card in there, but you've got to be careful because when I put it in, it didn't recognise by Windows, so I thought that I put it in the wrong way. And when I looked, it looked like it was between the frame of the device and the actual port, the micro SD port. So you've got to be careful. And I've seen a few people post on forums talking about that as well. So what I had to do is get some tweezers, tweeze the actual micro SD and pull it out, and then put it back in the correct slot. And then Windows recognised it. But the port itself, when you press the SD card, it doesn't actually automatically pop out for some reason, so you feel like you've lodged it in there and it's stuck, but no, it's okay. Now you've got on the headphone port and power port. Now they look exactly the same, except for the power port. It has a little pin that comes out a little bit, so you'll find yourself putting the power into the headphone jack, so just be careful with that. I don't think it'll do much damage, but it's just something to bear in mind. You should pick it up as you use the tablet more and more. The charger port as well, it's a proprietary thing by Cube, so it's not micro SD. You can't charge it by micro SD. Well, I don't think you can anyway. I've not tried that out, but it comes with a proprietary charger, so just be aware of that when you actually use it. And you don't get, if you're in the UK or America, you don't get an adapter. It's a Euro pin adapter, so you'll need to buy a converter for your actual plug that you use in your home country. The speakers are actually pretty good. They're just here. There's two on the sides. They're rubbish compared to the MEPG 2 that I had. They're absolutely rubbish. They're really tinny and quiet. The MEPG 2 is good bass, really good clarity, so just bear that in mind. Now the weight is 690 grams, and that's really heavy for a tablet in my opinion. I find it quite cumbersome to hold and just to carry around. It's not as light as the MEPG 2 that I had, or the Lenovo S850 that I had as well. They were both 3 inches smaller and lesser spec, so that's understandable in a way. You might have some problems with the responsiveness of the screen as well. On a couple of forums they say that around the edges it's not as responsive, and it's a Wacom enabled display as well, so I've not actually had a chance to use one of those pens on this screen, but it's not as responsive as the MEPG 2. And it's a bit more expensive as well, this, so you need to bear all these things in mind. You can check my other video for the MEPG 2 and why I sent it back. It was a great tablet, but there was a lot of issues, whereas this, there aren't any major issues that I can see really, apart from the micro SD slot, but once that card's in, it's fine. Also, nobody told me about this, but the Windows button, well, the Windows logo is actually a button. It's a touch sensitive button. It works out pretty well because sometimes the screen is quite unresponsive, and you'll be on Netflix and you'll be trying to exit and it won't let you, or you'll be in YouTube full screen and it won't let you and you're trying to exit. I just usually hit the Windows button, hit it back again, and then it becomes responsive again. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the screen timing out, but there you go. As well with the MEPG 2, it came in a Xiaomi box, an actual proper box, whereas this thing came in just a crappy polystyrene box taped up, which was just ridiculous really. So just bear that in mind if you want to resell it. You're going to have some problems because that box is absolutely rubbish. I heard that Banggood do actually repackage their things so it doesn't get damaged in transit, which was nice. You'll have a screen protector on here, and then you'll have the display protector over the top with like a little logo thing on it. So I pulled that off, and then I was touching the screen. I was like, this doesn't feel right, and then noticed kind of like a small groove along the bottom. So I started to get it with my thumb, and I thought I was damaging the screen maybe, because nowhere in the packaging does it say that there's 2 protectors on there. But I did notice there was some small bubbles on the screen, which really started to annoy me. So I eventually got this thing off and pulled it off, and it's such an arse ache to actually get this thing off. Once you get it off, the screen feels so much better and more responsive, but bear in mind that it's more prone to scratching, and you can smudge this thing like God knows what. Just by lightly touching it, you'll smudge the whole thing, and on the back as well, it's just a smudge magnet, so just be careful with that. Whereas the MEPG 2, it had an all-in-one no gap display, so the display was part of the device, whereas this, it's got a small gap, so that's probably why it isn't as responsive as the MEPG 2. So there's not much you can really do about that, but it does mean if you do scratch this, you can take the screen off, put another one on, and you won't have to buy a new device, so it'll work out cheaper in that respect. So this the sound card in this thing, compared to my BlackBerry, the Priv, the sound card on this is not as good. There's not enough bass. You can hear like a static in the background when you're putting your earphones in. It also clicks every now and again when the track finishes. It'll try and find audio or an audio signal. It'll just hear a clicking, and then you'll have to press your volume rocker on your headphones to stop it, or you'll have to start a new track or pull the headphones out and put them back in again, which is kind of annoying for a 250 quid tablet. You know, it's just one of those little things. Now I did get a keyboard dock with this. It came in the cube packaging, so that was nice instead of a polystyrene piece of shit. So I'll show you now. There you go. Now there's a little niggle. There's a little thing down here. It's like an air bubble, and I can't seem to get that out of the actual touchpad, which is really annoying. But apart from that, it's great. The touchpad is substandard. The gestures work great, but the actual trackpad itself is just naff. So it's worth putting the mouse in here, but you do get the 2 ports. So you know, you could put USB mouse in there, no problem. It just clips straight in. It's actually quite well built for the price. But yeah, that's about it. Overall, I don't know, I'm a bit on the fence. This thing's great. It's not as good as the MEPG 2, but that's Xiaomi for you, they're amazing. This is just an absolute workhorse. It's got the power behind it, it's got the CPU, and it's got the extra 2 GB of RAM on top compared to the MEPG 2, so you know, what you gotta do. If you want a laptop replacement, this is great. You know, you've got the keyboard dock, which I've not really seen for the MEPG 2, and it can play games as well, really low powered games like any Valve game. So yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up. Alright, this is me signing out.